The Galactic Unity Station floated in the empty space between three star systems. It was the largest structure ever built by the combined efforts of 47 species. Today, it was filled with fear. Representatives from across the known galaxy had gathered in the Great Council chamber. The room was shaped like a bowl, with seats rising in circles around a central platform. Thousands of delegates sat in their assigned sections. Some breathed oxygen, others breathed methane or ammonia. Special barriers kept each group alive in their own atmosphere. High Prelate stood on the central platform. He was a species that looked like tall insects with 4 arms and large black eyes. His voice carried through the translation systems that turned his clicks and whistles into words everyone could understand. The Dominion has threatened 3 neutral systems, announced. We must form a defense coalition, but we must be careful about who we include. Ambassador watched from the section. Her species looked like large serpents with small arms and kind faces. She had served as a diplomat for 60 years. She knew what was about to say, and she did not like it. I propose that we exclude the humans from this coalition, continued. Whispers spread through the chamber. Some delegates nodded in agreement, others looked uncertain. The humans are unstable, said. They are primitives from a death world. Their combat behavior is documented in classified reports that I have read. These reports disturb me greatly. The humans do not fight like civilized species. They fight like animals. Raised her hand to speak. High Prelate, I must object. I have studied humans for decades. Their reputation is exaggerated. Made a sound that the translator turned into laughter. Ambassador, you are too kind. The humans call themselves the galaxies. They are proud of being monsters. We do not need monsters in our coalition. We need disciplined soldiers. The council voted. Objection was overruled. The humans would not be invited to join the defense coalition. The doors of the chamber opened. 4 figures walked in. They wore black uniforms with no decorations except small name tags. They moved in perfect formation, their boots making no sound on the metal floor. Every eye in the chamber turned to watch them. Commander walked at the front. He was a human male of average height with short black hair and a calm face. His eyes moved slowly across the room, taking in every detail. Behind him walked Officer, a human female with sharp eyes and in her hands. Combat Medic Park followed, a quiet man with gentle hands. At the rear walked Captain, whose face showed no emotion at all. You were not invited, said. No, agreed. His voice was quiet but clear. We intercepted communications. The invasion is not a future threat. It is happening now. 4 arms moved in a gesture of dismissal. Human paranoia. You see threats everywhere because you evolved as prey animals on a death world. Your fear response is overactive. Did not react to the insult. He simply nodded too. She stepped forward and projected data into the air above the platform. Star maps appeared, showing fleet movements. Communication logs scrolled past, translated from the language. 3 battle fleets left their home systems 4 days ago, explained. They are traveling under communication silence. Their projected arrival at this station is approximately 6 hours from now. The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted in a dozen languages. Some called a liar. Others demanded more information. Raised his arms for silence. This is exactly what I warned you about. Humans create fear. They see enemies in every shadow. This data could easily be fabricated. It could be, said, but it is not. You expect us to believe that they would attack this station. This is neutral ground. An attack here would unite every species against them. Yes, said simply. That is exactly what Warlord wants. He wants to prove that the galaxies can be defeated. He wants to break the myth. Spoke up again. Commander, what myth do you mean? Looked at her with something that might have been gratitude. For 20 years, the galaxy has told stories about humans. They say we cannot be killed. They say we feel no pain. They say we are monsters who eat our enemies. These stories are not true, but they have kept the peace. No species wants to fight the. And you think we'll attack to prove the stories are false? Asked. I know he will. We captured one of his scouts 3 weeks ago. The scout was proud to tell us the plan before he died. Believes that if he destroys humans in front of the whole galaxy, every species will see that we are just flesh and blood. Then they can conquer without fear. Made his laughing sound again. So your plan is to frighten us into accepting your help. Very clever, Commander, but we do not need protection from imaginary threats. Was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke in the same calm voice he had used throughout. High Prelate, I am not trying to frighten you. I am trying to save your life and the lives of everyone on this station. In 6 hours, you will have a choice. You can die proving that humans are liars, or you can let us do what we do best. And what is that? Asked. Spoke for the first time. His voice was soft, almost gentle. We protect people. The chamber fell silent. Something in the medic's simple words carried weight that the politicians could not ignore. Checked her communicator. Commander, the nightfall is ready. Nodded, we will be in position. When they arrive, we will respond. The council can choose to help us or not. He turned to leave. His team followed in the same silent formation. Called after him. You cannot fight 3 battle fleets with 1 ship, Commander, even die. Stopped at the door, he looked back over his shoulder. High Prelate, you are correct, do die, but we take a great many others with us. That is the point. The humans left. The chamber remained quiet for a long moment. Then the delegates began talking again, their voices filled with uncertainty and growing fear. Watched the doors close behind the humans. She had studied their species for 60 years. She had learned their languages and their history. She knew they were not monsters, but she also knew they were not ordinary soldiers. Humans were something the galaxy had never seen before. They were predators who protected. They were killers who healed. They were afraid of nothing except failing to save those they cared about. The galaxy called them because it had no other word for what they were. The station's alarms began to scream. Red lights flashed across every wall. Emergency announcements played in 47 languages. Delegates scrambled from their seats, pushing toward exits. Stood frozen on the platform, his black eyes wide. On the main display screen, 300 warships dropped out of hyperspace. They formed a wall of metal and weapons between the station and the nearest safe system. A message appeared on every screen in the chamber. Warlord's face filled the display. He was a reptilian species with scales the color of dried blood and eyes like yellow fire. Attention, Galactic Unity Station, said. You have 1 hour to surrender. Give us the humans and the rest of you may live. Refuse and you will all die together. This is not a negotiation. This is an execution. The transmission ended. Looked at the display showing the fleet. 300 ships against 1 human destroyer. The math was simple. The humans would die. But as she watched, the TSS Nightfall moved forward. It did not run. It did not hide. 1 small black ship sailed straight toward 300 enemies. Had studied humans for 60 years. She had never understood them until this moment. They were not afraid because fear was a luxury they had abandoned long ago. They were not brave because bravery required a choice. They simply saw people in danger and moved to protect them. That was what made them the galaxies. Not their violence, their love. The council chamber became a place of panic. Delegates pushed against each other, trying to reach the exits. Their translators filled the air with screams in 100 languages. Some fell and were trampled. Others climbed over seats to escape faster. High Prelate stood frozen on the central platform. His 4 arms hung limp at his sides. His black eyes stared at the display screen where Warlord's message still echoed. 1 hour, whispered. We have 1 hour. Ambassador moved through the chaos with surprising speed for a serpentine species. She reached the platform and looked up at. "We need to find the humans," she said. "The humans," voice cracked. "The humans caused this, wants them if we give them to him." "If we give them to him, he will kill us anyway," interrupted. "Did not bring 300 ships to collect 4 prisoners. He came to make an example." Outside the station, the TSS Nightfall moved into position. Captain sat in the command chair, her face calm as stone. Around her, the bridge crew worked in silence. No one spoke unless necessary. They communicated with glances and small hand signals. "Weapons charged," the weapons officer reported. "Shields at full power," the defense officer added. Nodded, she opened a channel to the station. "Commander, we are in position." His voice came back clear and steady. "Understood, Captain. Begin Phase 1. The Nightfall's engines flared. The small destroyer shot forward, flying directly toward the fleet. 300 enemy ships turned their weapons toward the tiny human vessel. On the station, led his team through the corridors. They moved fast but did not run. Running would waste energy they might need later. Behind them, they could hear the screams of panicked aliens trying to find safety. "Status on communications," said. Kept pace beside him, her fingers flying across her. "I have partial access. They are using old encryption. I can break it fully in approximately 20 minutes. "Do it," glanced at. "Medic, I need you to coordinate evacuation for the civilian species. Get them to the interior shelters." Park nodded. He split off from the group without a word, moving toward the sounds of panic. The other species on the station watched the humans with confusion and fear. They saw and walking calmly through chaos. They saw helping fallen delegates to their feet, his gentle hands guiding them toward safety. A child stood crying in the middle of a corridor, separated from its family, knelt beside it. He did not speak the language, but he made soft sounds and offered his hand. The child looked at him with large black eyes, trembling. Smiled. It was a real smile, warm and kind. The child took his hand. An adult pushed through the crowd, calling for the child. When she saw the human holding her offspring's hand, she froze. Humans were dangerous. Everyone knew that. They might hurt her child. Stood and gently led the child to its mother. He placed the small hand in hers and nodded once. Then he continued down the corridor, looking for others who needed help. The mother watched him go. She did not understand. Monsters did not save children, did not smile like that. On the bridge of the Nightfall, watched the fleet grow larger on her display. 1 ship against 300. The odds were impossible, but had not survived 3 interstellar conflicts by caring about odds. "Open a channel to the flagship," she ordered. Her communications officer hesitated. "Captain, are you sure?" "Do it." Warlord's face appeared on the screen. His yellow eyes narrowed when he saw the human female staring back at him. "You are the captain of that small ship?" asked. His voice was rough, like stones grinding together. "I am captain of the Terran Special Operations vessel Nightfall." Made a sound that might have been laughter. "1 ship. You brought 1 ship to face my fleet. Are all humans this foolish, or only you?" "I am not foolish," replied. "I am patient." "Patient?" Leaned forward. "Patient for what? Death?" "Patient for you to understand your mistake." The warlord's scales rippled with anger. "I have made no mistake. I have 300 ships. You have 1. In less than an hour I will destroy your vessel, kill the humans on that station, and prove to the galaxy that they are just frightened animals." His expression did not change. "You wanted to see what we are. Watch closely." She cut the transmission. "All stop," commanded. "Power down all systems except life support." The bridge crew obeyed without question. The Nightfall's engines went dark. Its weapons powered down. Its shields flickered and died. The ship became silent and cold, drifting through space like a dead thing. On the flagship, watched the human ship go dark. His officers looked at each other in confusion. "What are they doing?" one officer asked. "They are surrendering," another suggested. Shook his head slowly. His eyes never left the drifting human vessel. "No, humans do not surrender. This is something else." "Should we destroy them?" Considered. In culture, the dead were sacred. A silent ship, drifting without power, carried the weight of ghosts. His gunners would fire if ordered, but they would not like it. "Wait," decided. "Let them drift. They cannot harm us without power. We will deal with the station first." On the station, received signal. Phase 1 was complete. They were confused and cautious. That bought time. "How long until you break their encryption?" 12 more minutes. Nodded, he touched his communicator. "Status on evacuations." His voice came back calm and quiet. "Civilian species are moving to interior shelters. Some resistance from station security. They do not trust us." "Keep working. They will trust us soon enough." Appeared around a corner, his 4 arms waving frantically. Followed close behind, her serpentine body moving smoothly despite her age. Commander said, "What is happening? Your ship has gone dark. Are you surrendering?" "No," kept walking, the aliens followed. "Then what are you doing? We need a plan. We need to negotiate. Perhaps if we offer something." Stopped, he turned to face the High Prelate. His eyes were calm but intense. "High Prelate, 3 hours ago you called my species unstable primitives. You said we fight like animals. You excluded us from your coalition." His arms drooped. "Commander, You were not entirely wrong." His voice remained steady. "We do fight differently than other species. We learned to fight on a world that tried to kill us every day. We do not have the luxury of civilized warfare." "What does that mean?" Looked at, something passed between them, a moment of understanding. "It means," said, "that we do not fight to win. We fight to protect. And we will do anything necessary to protect the innocent beings on the station. Anything." A cruiser docked with the station. Its hull clamped onto an outer section, and cutting beams began slicing through the metal. Soldiers would soon pour into the station. Checked his weapon. "Finish breaking that encryption. Stay behind us. We have boarders on level 7. "On my way," replied. Watched the human commander walk toward the sound of cutting beams. He watched follow, still working on her. He watched them move without fear, without hesitation. Ambassador whispered, "What are they?" His old eyes watched the humans disappear around a corner. "They are exactly what the galaxy needs, High Prelate. They are the thing that monsters fear." The cutting stopped, the hull breach opened, soldiers poured through. And in the darkness of the corridor, they met the... No one outside heard what happened in those narrow metal passages. But when it was over, not one remained standing. Stepped over the fallen soldiers. His uniform was torn. A cut on his forehead bled into his eye. He wiped it away and kept moving. "Phase 2 complete," he reported. "I need that encryption now." "Done," she replied. "I have full access to their communications." Allowed himself a small smile. "Then let us teach Warlord what happens when you threaten people under our protection." Outside, the nightfall remained dark and silent, drifting like a corpse among the stars. They watched it with growing unease. They told themselves the humans were beaten. They told themselves they were just a myth. They were wrong. The nightfall drifted in silence through the darkness between the station and the fleet. No lights burned on its hull. No engines glowed. To the sensors, it looked like a dead ship, a tomb floating in space. Warlord stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human vessel with narrowed yellow eyes. Something felt wrong. The humans had come to fight, he was certain of that. Their species did not know how to do anything else. But why had their ship gone dark? Report from the boarding party, an officer announced. "Good, what is their status?" The officer hesitated. "We have lost contact with them." Turned slowly, Lost contact. Yes, Warlord, they breached the station hall and entered. We received confirmation of entry. Then nothing. No further communications, no response to hails. Felt something cold move through his blood. It was not fear. Warlords did not feel fear. It was something else. Something he had no name for. Send another team, he ordered. Tell them to find out what happened. On the station, Commander moved through the corridors like a shadow. His boots made no sound. His breathing was slow and controlled. Behind him followed with equal silence, her eyes fixed on her. Their second boarding team is entering now, whispered. Section 9, lower level. Nodded, he touched his communicator. We have more guests, Section 9. I see them, soft voice replied. I will handle it. In the darkness of Section 9, 30 soldiers moved through the damaged corridor. They held weapons ready, their yellow eyes scanning every shadow. Their commander had warned them about what waited in this station. The humans, he said. The soldiers did not believe in. They believed in plasma rifles and numbers. 30 soldiers against how many humans? 4. The odds were laughable. Something moved in the darkness ahead. The lead soldier raised his weapon. Identify yourself. No response came, just silence and shadows. Spread out, the squad leader ordered. Find them. The soldiers moved forward, their weapons sweeping left and right. They could see nothing. They could hear nothing. But somehow they knew they were not alone. A soldier at the rear of the formation made a small sound. His comrades turned to look. He was gone. His weapon lay on the floor, still warm. What? The squad leader began. Another soldier vanished. Then another. One by one, they disappeared into the darkness without a sound. The squad leader spun in circles, his weapon shaking. Show yourself, fight like warriors. Park stepped out of the shadows directly in front of him. The medic's gentle face showed no anger, no hatred, just calm purpose. I am fighting, said quietly. You just cannot see it. The squad leader fired his plasma rifle. The shot hit in the chest. The medic stumbled but did not fall. His uniform smoked from the burn, but he kept walking forward. How? The squad leader backed away. That should have killed you. Humans are hard to kill. His voice remained soft, almost kind. We evolved on a world of poison and predators. Pain is just information to us. It tells us we are still alive. The squad leader fired again and again. 3 plasma shots hit his body. Each one should have been fatal. The human kept coming. When it was over, the squad leader lay unconscious at his feet. The medic checked his injuries, applied a bandage to a bleeding wound, and moved on. High Prelate had watched from behind a support pillar. He had seen everything. He had seen a human take 3 plasma shots and keep fighting. He had seen that same human show mercy to a fallen enemy. Why, whispered, why did you not kill him? Turned to look at the elder. He was no longer a threat. Killing him would serve no purpose. But he shot you 3 times. Yes, looked down at his wounds. Blood soaked through his uniform. I will need to treat these soon, but not yet. Others still need protection. He walked away, leaving standing among the fallen soldiers. The High Prelate looked at his own 4 hands. They were shaking. He had called humans primitives. He had called them animals. He had been wrong about everything. On the flagship received the report. His second boarding team had also gone silent. 30 soldiers gone, no distress calls, no final messages, just silence. What is happening on that station? Demanded. No one could answer him. His voice came through on frequencies, speaking their language perfectly. Attention, fleet. This is a message from your allies. Officers across the fleet looked at each other in confusion. The message continued. The Third Fleet has betrayed us. Warlord has made a secret deal with the humans. He will sacrifice our ships to save his own. The attack on the station is a trap. Scales turned pale with rage. That is a lie. I gave no such order. But the damage was done. On screens across the fleet, captains argued with each other. Some demanded answers from, others suspected their neighbors of treachery. Trust, already fragile in the military, began to crack. Clever growled, "Very clever, but tricks will not save them." He opened a channel to all ships. "This is Warlord. Those messages are false, created by human infiltrators. Ignore them and maintain formation. We attack the station now." The fleet began to move. 300 ships advanced toward the station, their weapons charging. And then the nightfall came back to life. Every system on the human ship activated at once. Engines flared with blue fire. Weapons hummed with deadly energy. Shields crackled into existence around the hull. The nightfall had been drifting, dark and silent, directly into the heart of the formation. No one had thought to stop a dead ship. No one had imagined it was a threat. Now it was in the center of the fleet, surrounded by enemies on all sides. Captain's voice came over an open channel, calm and cold. "Warlord, you asked what are. Allow me to demonstrate." The nightfall fired. Human weapons were not the most powerful in the galaxy. Human shields were not the strongest. But human tactics were something the galaxy had never seen before. Had positioned her ship so that every shot that missed would hit another vessel. She did not try to destroy the enemies around her. She let them destroy each other. The nightfall twisted and spun through the formation, a dancer among giants. Ships fired at it and hit their allies instead. Missiles meant for the human vessel crashed into friendly cruisers. Plasma beams cut through sister ships. In 3 minutes, 12 vessels were destroyed or crippled. The nightfall had fired only 6 times. On the station, Ambassador watched the battle on a display screen. Tears rolled down her serpentine face. "Beautiful," she whispered. "It is beautiful." Stood beside her, unable to speak. He had never seen anything like this. The human ship was not fighting. It was hunting. It used the enemy's strength against them, turning their numbers into a weakness. Appeared once, the human commander stood on the bridge of a captured cruiser. Behind him, crew members lay unconscious at their stations. How had he captured a ship? When had he left the station? Had no answers. "You asked for a brief demonstration," said. His voice was calm, even pleasant. "Class is in session." Stared at the human face. He had fought many enemies in his long career. He had faced warriors and monsters and machines, but he had never faced anything like this. The human was not afraid. He was not angry. He was not desperate. He was simply doing a job, protecting people, destroying those who threatened them, as calmly as a craftsman building furniture. "What are you?" breathed. Tilted his head slightly. "We are humans. We are the thing you tried to prove was just a myth. We are the galaxies." He smiled. It was not a cruel smile. It was almost friendly. "And we are just getting started." The captured cruiser's weapons came online. Its shields activated. Now controlled a warship from inside its own fleet. Around the station, the battle continued. The nightfall danced through the enemy formation, impossible to hit. Ships fell to friendly fire. Paranoia spread through the fleet like poison. And in the dark corridors of the station, human soldiers moved like ghosts, protecting the innocent and hunting the invaders. The galaxy had called them. Tonight they proved why. Human reinforcements arrived 2 hours into the battle. Warlord watched 4 more Terran vessels drop out of hyperspace and felt hope rise in his chest. Only 4 ships. His fleet still numbered over 250 vessels. The odds remained in his favor. Then the 4 ships scattered. They did not form a defensive line. They did not group together for protection. Each ship flew off in a different direction, disappearing into the darkness between the stars. "Track them," ordered. "Do not let them escape." "We are trying, Warlord," his sensor officer replied. "But they have gone silent. No emissions, no engine signatures, they have vanished." Scales rippled with unease. "Ships do not vanish, find them." Minutes passed, then an hour. Fleet continued its attack on the station, but something had changed. The captains were nervous. They kept looking over their shoulders, checking their sensors, jumping at shadows. The first attack came without warning. A battle cruiser on the outer edge of the formation exploded. No one had seen the shot. No one knew where it came from. One moment the ship existed. The next, it was burning wreckage. "What happened?" demanded. "Unknown, Warlord, the attack came from. We cannot determine the origin." Another ship died, then another. The human vessels were hunting from the darkness, striking without warning, then disappearing again. They could not fight what they could not see. On the captured cruiser, Commander coordinated the attacks, stood beside him, monitoring enemy communications. "They are panicking," reported. "Several captains are requesting permission to withdraw. Others are accusing each other of cowardice." "Good," studied the tactical display. "Continue feeding false messages into their network. Make them doubt everything." Ambassador watched from a corner of the bridge. She had insisted on coming with the humans, wanting to understand them better. Now she was beginning to see the truth. "You are not just attacking them," she said. "You are hunting them." Looked at her, "Yes. I have studied human history. Your species used to chase prey across great distances, not because you were faster, but because you never stopped. The prey would run, rest, run again, but the humans kept coming. Eventually, the prey was too exhausted to continue." "Persistence hunting," confirmed. "We invented it millions of years ago. Other species on our world were faster, stronger, more dangerous, but we could follow them for days, weeks. We never stopped." Shivered, "They are accustomed to battles with clear beginnings and ends. When one side wins, the fighting stops." "Yes, but we do not recognize that concept." Eyes were calm and patient. "We fight until the threat is gone, not until we win, until the threat no longer exists. That is not the same thing." A destroyer exploded in the distance. Then another. The human ships continued their silent hunt, picking off targets one by one. Watched his fleet dying and finally understood. He had thought the humans were defending the station. He had been wrong. They were hurting his fleet, trapping it, wearing it down. Every ship he lost made the survivors more afraid. Every hour that passed drained their will to fight. The humans were not trying to win a battle. They were conducting an execution. On the station, Park moved through the shelters where alien civilians huddled in fear. His wounds had been bandaged, but blood still seeped through the white fabric. He should have been resting. Instead, he checked on frightened families, offered water, and spoke soft words of comfort. High Prelate followed him, unable to look away. He watched the human medic treat a prisoner's burns. The prisoner was an enemy soldier, captured during the boarding attempts. He should have been left to suffer. "Why are you helping him?" asked. "Applied medicine to the wounds. He is injured." "He is your enemy. His people are trying to kill you." "That does not change the fact that he is injured." Looked up at with tired eyes. "I am a healer. I heal people, all people, even enemies." The prisoner stared at the human with confusion and growing fear. This made no sense. Warriors did not help fallen enemies. Monsters did not show kindness. "Why?" the prisoner whispered. Finished bandaging the wounds and sat back. "Because causing unnecessary suffering is wrong. You were fighting because your warlord ordered you to fight. Now the fighting is over for you. You are just a person with injuries. My job is to help injured people." The prisoner had no response. He closed his yellow eyes and lay still, overwhelmed by something he could not understand. Captain brought the Nightfall around for another pass. Her ship had taken damage during the battle. Scorch marks covered the hull. One weapon bank was offline. 3 crew members were injured. But the Nightfall was still fighting. It had been fighting for 4 hours. They had expected a quick victory. They had not planned for this. Opened a channel to his flagship. The warlord's face appeared on her screen. He looked older than before, tired, afraid. Warlord said, "Your fleet has lost 62 vessels. Your communication network is compromised. Your crews are exhausted and frightened. You have one chance to end this." Scales rippled. What chance? Withdraw from neutral space. Take your remaining ships and leave. Promise never to threaten these systems again. Do this and we will let you go. Let me go, laughed, but it was a hollow sound. You are offering me mercy. Your fleet is tiny. Your resources are limited. You cannot sustain this assault forever. No, agreed. We cannot, but we do not need forever. We only need long enough. Long enough for what? His expression did not change. Long enough to destroy you. Long enough to make an example that the galaxy will remember for 1,000 years. Long enough to prove that they are very, very real. Was silent. He looked at his display showing the positions of human ships. They were still hunting, still striking from the darkness. His fleet was bleeding to death, ship by ship, hour by hour. You would die too, said. If you push this to the end, your ships will be destroyed. Your people will die. Yes, said simply, we will. Then why? Why would you sacrifice everything? Leaned forward slightly. Her eyes met his through the screen. Because on that station there are children, there are families, there are innocent beings who did nothing wrong except exist in the same place as your ambition. If we die protecting them, we die well. If you die threatening them, you die badly. That is the difference between us. Saw something in her eyes that his species had no word for. It was not hatred. It was not rage. It was not even determination. It was something deeper. A patient, absolute certainty that she would destroy him if necessary and lose no sleep over it. For the first time in his long career, Warlord knew true fear. You are monsters, he whispered. Yes, replied. We are, but we are monsters who protect. We are the galaxies, and we will always be here, waiting in the dark for anyone who threatens the innocent. She cut the transmission. Stood on his bridge, surrounded by officers who looked to him for orders. He could continue the fight. He could push forward and try to overwhelm the humans with numbers. Some of his ships would survive, perhaps even most. But he would lose. He knew it now. Even if he destroyed every human ship, the damage was done. The galaxy was watching. They would see the fleet broken by 4 human vessels. They would see the fight to the last breath. The myth would not die. It would grow stronger. Closed his yellow eyes. When he opened them, his decision was made. All ships, he ordered, prepare to withdraw. His officers stared at him in shock. Warlord, we cannot. We can and we will. His voice was heavy with defeat. The humans have won, not because they are stronger, because they are willing to pay a price we are not. Signal the station. We accept their terms. The fleet began to turn away. One by one, the great warships powered up their hyperspace drives and fled into the darkness. On the captured cruiser watched them go. His face showed no triumph, no satisfaction, just quiet relief. It is over, said softly. For now, touched his communicator. Captain, excellent work. Stand down from combat, let them go. Understood, Commander. Voice carried a hint of exhaustion. The Nightfall could use some repairs. We all could, looked at. Ambassador, I believe your council has some decisions to make. Nodded slowly. Yes, I believe we do. The battle of Galactic Unity Station was over. The had won. The last ship vanished into hyperspace, and the Galactic Unity Station fell silent. The battle had lasted exactly 6 hours, just as Commander had predicted. Now, as the emergency lights dimmed and normal power returned, the station began to wake from its nightmare. Delegates emerged from the shelters where they had hidden. They walked through corridors that showed the scars of battle. Plasma burns marked the walls. Debris littered the floors. The smell of smoke and fear hung in the recycled air. But they were alive. The Galactic Council reconvened in the Great Chamber. The seats that had been empty during the panic were now filled again. Representatives from 47 species sat in their assigned sections, staring at the central platform where High Prelate stood alone. Looked older than he had 6 hours ago. His 4 arms hung heavy at his sides. His black eyes had lost their proud gleam. "We owe the humans an apology," he said. His voice carried through the translation systems, clear and heavy with shame. "I owe them an apology. I called them primitives. I called them animals. I excluded them from our coalition because I feared what they were." The chamber was silent. Every eye turned to watch the humans enter through the main doors. Commander led his team into the chamber. They walked in the same silent formation as before, their boots making no sound on the metal floor. But now their uniforms were torn and stained with blood. Bandages covered their wounds. Captain walked with a slight limp. They stopped at the edge of the central platform and waited. Descended from the platform and approached. The elder, who had commanded respect from 100 worlds, lowered his head before a human soldier. "Commander, I was wrong about your species. I saw your violence and assumed you were beasts. I did not see the truth." "What truth?" asked quietly. "That your violence is controlled, directed. You choose when to be gentle and when to be terrible. That is not the mark of animals, that is the mark of protectors." Was silent for a moment. Then he spoke, and his voice carried to every corner of the chamber. "High Prelate, 6 hours ago you asked what we are. Let me tell you." He looked around at the assembled delegates, meeting eyes from a dozen different species. "We are humans. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. Poison in the air, predators in the dark, diseases that killed half our children before they could walk. We survived because we learned to work together, to protect each other, to fight for those who could not fight for themselves." Ambassador moved to the front of the section. Her serpentine body rose tall, and her voice carried clear and strong. "I have studied humans for 60 years. I have learned their languages. I have read their histories. I know why the galaxy calls them." The delegates leaned forward, waiting. "Humans form bonds," said. "They adopt other species into their families. They learn our languages, celebrate our holidays, mourn our dead. They care about beings they have never met, beings they will never see again. And when they fight for those bonds." She looked at with eyes full of respect. "The galaxy fears humans because humans care with the same intensity that they destroy. Their love and their violence come from the same place, the same heart. That is what makes them terrifying. That is also what makes them wonderful." Stepped forward. She had been quiet throughout the battle, working her technology, breaking enemy codes. Now she spoke for the first time in the council chamber. "3 hours ago our medic treated a prisoner's wounds. The man was our enemy. He had tried to kill us, saved his life anyway." She looked at the delegates with sharp, intelligent eyes. "That is what humans are. We will destroy anyone who threatens the innocent. And we will save anyone who needs saving, even our enemies, because that is who we choose to be." Park stood quietly at the back of the human group. His uniform was the most blood-stained of all. 3 plasma burns had left holes in the fabric. Bandages covered wounds that should have killed him. The prisoner he had treated was watching from a side entrance, escorted by station security. When looked at him, the lowered his yellow eyes in something that might have been gratitude. Captain spoke last. Her voice was calm and tired. "Warlord asked me why we would die for strangers, why we would sacrifice everything for people we had never met. I told him the truth. I told him that on this station there were children, families, innocent beings who deserved to live." She looked at directly. "That is the only reason we need. That is always the only reason we need." The chamber fell silent. Then slowly one delegate began to applaud. It was a gesture, the slapping of small hands against a serpentine tail. Another delegate joined, then another. Within moments, The entire chamber was filled with the sounds of 47 species showing approval in 47 different ways. Clicks and whistles and stomps and rumbles merged into a wave of gratitude. Raised his arms for silence. When the noise faded, he spoke the words that would change galactic history. I call for a vote. The motion before this council is to fully integrate humanity into the Galactic Defense Coalition, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. All in favor. The vote was unanimous. Hours later stood on the observation deck of the Nightfall, watching the station return to normal operations. Repair drones swarmed over damaged sections. Cargo ships arrived with supplies. Life continued. Joined her at the window. The two women stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars. The galaxy sees us as, said eventually, monsters in the dark. Yes, did not look away from the stars. Does that bother you? Considered the question. No, monsters protect. That is what we do. If the galaxy needs to be afraid of us to feel safe, that is a fair trade. Nodded slowly. The council member, the one who insulted us, he asked why we protect strangers. What did say? He said we do not see strangers. We see people who need help. Smiled. It was a rare expression on her face, soft and genuine. That is, he understands better than any of us. On the station promenade, walked alone. His wounds had been treated, but exhaustion weighed on him like a physical burden. He needed rest. He needed time to process everything that had happened. A small figure approached him. It was a child, barely taller than his waist. Its large black eyes looked up at him with curiosity rather than fear. Its 4 small arms reached upward in the gesture of greeting. Stopped, he knelt slowly, bringing himself to the child's eye level. Hello, he said softly. The child made clicking sounds that the translator turned into words. Are you a human? Yes. My mother says humans are scary. Nodded, some people think so. The child tilted its head. You do not look scary, you look tired. Laughed, it was a genuine sound, warm and weary. I am tired, it has been a long day. The child reached out with one small arm and touched his hand. Thank you for protecting us. Felt something shift in his chest. This was why he fought. This was why they all fought. Not for glory or power or even survival. For moments like this. For children who could grow up safe because someone had stood in the darkness for them. You are welcome, he said. That is what we do. From across the promenade watched the scene. The fearsome human commander, the galaxy's Boogeyman, kneeling gently before a child, speaking softly, showing kindness. Appeared beside him. Now you understand. Yes, his voice was thick with emotion. I understand. They are not monsters at all, are they? No, watch stand and wave goodbye to the child. They are the best of what intelligent life can become. Protectors, healers, friends. Then why does the galaxy call them? Smiled, her serpentine face showing warmth and wisdom, earned over 60 years. Because the galaxy has not learned the truth yet. The Boogeyman is just a story parents tell children, but humans are real, and they will always be there in the darkness, waiting to protect us. She looked up at the stars, where 5 human ships still patrolled the system. We are very lucky, she said quietly. We are very lucky to have them. The Nightfall turned slowly in space, its hull still from battle, its crew still healing from their wounds. But its engines burned steady, and its weapons remained ready. The galaxies were watching. And for the first time in a very long time, the galaxy felt safe.